Today we're talking about collaboration. I think this word alone has perhaps been the biggest reason behind my success as a photographer and has led me to grow as quickly and as fast as I potentially could have within the last 4.5 years. Now here's a fun fact for you. I actually counted how many collaborations I've done in the last 4.5 years and the number that I came to was 48. That means 48 times more or less I've shot for free. More on the more side and less on the less side. Which means that 48 times I've accepted work that I've not charged for. I've worked with vendors that have, aligned in my values. I've grown with different vendors across Sydney and interstate as well. And I've created content that had the opportunity to go viral and to really create some noise, especially for a photographer who just started out. Today we're talking everything about collaborations. But first of all, let me just take it back a step. Like, what is a collaboration? You know what? I'm just gonna make it easier for you. I'm just gonna Google this. What is a collaboration photography? Here we go. What's a collab? Simply put, it's when a group of people trade their expertise in kind. In the case of bloggers and photographers, it usually means one models in return for photos and one photographs in returns for modeling and styling. Okay, so collaborations, I guess for me, is pretty much when two or more people or parties or business or organizations come together with the aligned intent to exchange their understanding and their knowledge of their respective businesses to cooperate and to work on a project together. I think I nailed the definition for that one. I think that was pretty good. So when it comes to collaborations, because I've done so many, I've got an understanding for what they are, why I did what I did, and why they're so important. I'm going to use this video and break down this component into two separate videos. Number one, we're just going to talk about the importance of collabs and why you should do them. And in the second video, I'm going to break down how to collaborate properly. Now, this is the first two-part series I've ever kind of done, so stay tuned for that. But getting straight to the point, why should photographers, or any businesses for that matter, collaborate? First important reason that I think I just have to address is for your growth and for your skill set. When I first started out, I kid you not, I spent hours and hours and hours of time on just YouTube trying to figure out how to use my camera. I really didn't know much about it. I was self-taught. I didn't go to any specific school. I didn't study, photography like most professionals do. I literally just picked up a camera and went with it. So one of the ways I could really challenge myself and apply my skill set on a physical environment was to collaborate. So at any opportunity I got, I used to sit there for hours and message people who potentially wanted to collaborate, who I thought I could add value to, and who wouldn't mind working with me. Now, I'll get onto the rules and the understanding of collaborations in a separate video, so I won't talk too much about the how, I'll talk about the why. The reason as to why I love collaborations was in the specific means of, let's just say, South Asian wedding. When I'm photographing a bride, that's a really important moment, especially during bride prep. So a lot of the times for collaborations, I had the opportunity to work with, influencers or models who were wearing South Asian content, and it could perhaps mimic a real life environment for me whereby I would try and apply what I did in a collab at, say, a bride's home. The rules are exactly the same. You have the same objective, which is to take great photos. So a collaboration basically allows you to narrow in on your skill and really hone in on your craft. And for me, that gave me really great practice, and doing so many over the years just gave me so much more confidence in my capabilities and my skills as a photographer that when I first started, it made a very easy and seamless transition to go from amateur photographer to I'm a wedding photographer and, build the portfolio from there. Collaborations were just a great way in terms of executing what I had as a creative mindset and putting it all out there for the world to see. Which brings me to my very next point, exposure. I think it was single-handedly the word exposure that allowed me to build my social presence to what it is today. One of the things that you have to understand about photography is that it's a very saturated market. And as much as you'd like to go into your niche as well, that's probably also a saturated market. So for any newcomer photographer, I think it's really important that you understand that exposure is going to be the biggest way that you stand yourself out from the crowd. That people can go on your Instagram or your socials, your website, whatever it may be, and actually find your content, engage with it, and really like it. Otherwise, on top of just having normal paying clients, it's going to be the same content that you might be producing out there along with everybody else. And so a great way to stand yourself out from that is to really just do something different, and that's where collaborations really stood out. When you do a really great collaboration and create what I like to say noise, people will observe, especially if the people on the collaboration are the followers really admire. When I first started out, I had the opportunity to work with some amazing talented makeup artists that are really popular here in Sydney, and naturally with their following and the audience that they attracted, it tempted them to click on my profile and to see who these photos were taken by to potentially be considered for upcoming gigs. Now, although the collaboration 99% 99% of the time was shot for free and there wasn't really much payment involved, the end goal meant that I could attract an audience who were actually willing to pay for my services because they liked what they saw in the collaboration and gave them enough confidence to go, this is going to be my photographer moving forward. So as much as the immediate means isn't really going to be monetary gain, the long-term goal actually ended up being that anyways. So don't think it's the be-all and end-all if you're shooting for free, because what's really going to happen is you're actually gaining a lot of exposure. That exposure initially is going to then generate a clientele who is actually going to book you. And the third point is networking. Photography, especially within weddings, can be a very lonely career if you're a one-man crew. Now, over the time, my team's expanded and the people on board of my business have grown a lot as well, which is great. But when I first started, I didn't really know anyone. So networking was a really big deal for me. When I met makeup artists who were also starting out at the same time, we used to exchange contact details and go, hey, if you ever had a client who, booked you, I'd love them to also book me for their event. If you could refer me, I could also refer you as well. It was a great relationship that really encouraged a healthy referral system whereby I could make, a network or contact with, say, a bunch of different vendors within the same industry. And when one of those vendors got inquired for an event, they would at the end of their booking start generate conversations around, by the way, do you have XYZ? And I would also do the same. There are so many conversations that you can have as a result of booking a client that can potentially lead for other bookings for other vendors. And that networking relationship is going to be so invaluable to you, especially if you're just starting out. I would genuinely say if it wasn't for the 48 collaborations that I've done in the last 4.5 years, my growth and my success wouldn't be as to where it is today. So for all those vendors, all those businesses that I've worked with in the past 4.5, almost 5 years now, thank you so much, because if it wasn't for you guys, I probably wouldn't be in the same place that I am today. So if you're a new vendor or a new business owner starting out and you're trying to, really grow your following and to really gain exposure, collaborate. Don't worry about monetary funds. Don't worry about how much money you're going to make then and there. That's a long-term gain. Try and reach out to people who are on the same wavelength as you as a new business, or try and identify what your intent could be and what content you'd like to produce along the lines of other people who might feel the same way. In the very next video, I'm going to break down the exact specifics about how to collaborate properly. Because I've done so many collaborations in the last 4.5 years, I think I'm fair to say that there are right and wrong ways about collaborating. So perhaps in the next video, I might make it easier for you guys to understand how to collaborate and how to do it in a way that's effective for everybody involved. That's it for now. I'm just going to cut this video short. I'll see you guys in the very next video. If you guys love this one, then you know exactly what to do. Just hit that like button, comment down below, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the very next video. Peace.